him, even if it's just like him you saying it, like that we get even a bigger impression of how he was the cool dad and how he said happy paddles to you, because we all understand now when someone tells you happy paddles, we know exactly who you mean. So I enjoy that. So that's why I'm thinking of more ways when it is a storytelling sort of set, ways to change it up, especially with Zoom, because like when you're on stage, we get to see your full body. There's ways to vary that pace, but with the story, we're really hanging on your words. So when you do act it out and there are moments to do that, it changes it up and it brings us back, it brings us in. And it does have that sort of horror movie sort of feel, because look, you're in a screen, you're doing that, you know, you can think about, and I'm not saying you have to, but these are ideas that are popping out of my head, is that like horror movies, if there's like, you know, the music, the tense, like this is where the tense music plays, and like who's dying, which one of us gets out of alive, you know, which one's the virgin, you know, kind of like things like that, you know, because they always kill the virgin, right? But basically you can bring in those notes that keeps us engaged in the story. I stayed engaged, but I'm saying like different things that bring those elements to vary it up. I loved the whole thing about the notes that ended in beware, like the idea that like it's a true ghost story that you were saying, it's here, you live that now, like The Shining is real. But swimming, about the snakes swimming, and I always thought you needed arms for that. I think that was my favorite part. I hate snakes.
Yeah.
Snakes.
I think I hate them more.
I think you probably do, but when you said rattlesnake, I like all the imagery you use. So along with the physicalization, all the imagery, being very specific with that, and like the word choices, it's just going to get us more involved, so that when there is a funny moment or a funny thought of, I thought snakes, you needed arms for that. We're like, oh God, yes. Like you're building the tension. We're in that canoe with you. And all terrain, that was fantastic. I didn't know that they can fall from trees. I did know that, yeah. But I didn't know about rattlesnake swimming. I will never swim again. So
so educational.
But I did like, I feel like that with Tom had really good points with the writing and the carving, but I feel like as the performance part of it, looking at where you can inhabit physicalization that will enhance it, and basically creating like moments of like telling the story in something that is cinematic in that way. Okay. All right. And I enjoyed that. That's why I had to say, is she alive? And like her, you know, the idea of like, she's sitting there with the mace and the horn and like, you know, you can have those moments. I think you can enjoy acting out the moments while you're telling the story of like what it's like to see the snake or what it's like to have that note, you know? Sure. So, but thank you. That was funny and horrifying.
Thank you.
Yay! Give a round of applause if you hate snakes. No, give it up for Colin, everybody. Woo, 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 woo. Again, thank you for being here. First time on the mic. And Chris also has a huge phobia of snakes, so I'm going to have to put a disclaimer on this for him. What's that?
I once beat a garden snake. They're like, it's harmless. I'm like, it's a snake. I just kept beating it. It was bad. It was trying to get away from me, but I was like, you will die, snake. And that was like, I was in 5th grade and I've never recovered, nor did snake.
Yep, that has scarred Lisa to this day. That's staying with the theme of the night. Different ways we've been scarred. But no, give it up for our next comedian. That's a great segue to this comedian who definitely deserves more. We have recently cemented our international snack exchange via Uncrustables and what I got, which was an assortment of Canadian candy treats and ketchup-flavored Pringles. Wow. Those were an experience. But yeah, give it up for Desiree Walls! Woo, 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 woo!
Ketchup flavored chips are delicious, and you are all missing out. Yeah. I am Canadian, as Tom said. I think most people know that here, but I have to say it every so often, or I will die. And I love doing mics with Americans because I'm learning so much about your country. For example, you have more tasty snacks, as Tom mentioned, than I have ever seen in my life. You are the inventors of Fruit Loops donuts, and I think that is rather commendable. Really, really do. But I find it rather gaslighting that a country that has so many tasty snacks does not have universal health care. Because the story should be have another Baconator, we'll take care of you. Not watch out for little Debbie, she'll kill you. And one of the facts I find most appalling about your healthcare system, it was hard to pick just one, is that if you don't have insurance in America, an ambulance can run you $3,400 American. That's a lot of money. Yeah, Canada's dollar is low and it's funny. Yeah. When I was little, the province of Ontario, which is where I live, province is Canadian for state, decided they were going to charge people $45 for an ambulance ride. Everything else is free. They just want $45. Part of the issue is they do not tell you about this charge till well after you are on the ambulance. So people were livid that the government would have the audacity to charge its people $45 for health care. And in fact, I got injured when I was little, and my mom was like, "Oh no, I think we need an ambulance." And my dad said, "No, put her in the back of the car. I'll drive real fast. I have this funeral sticker. Don't ask questions as to how I got it. I have it. It'll be fine. Because I'll be damned if I'm paying for paying $45 for a child to go to the hospital." In fairness to my dad, the rule was if you can still breathe and talk, you do not need an ambulance. So shame on me for not passing out cold. Just really, like, shame on me. One of the other things I find fascinating about your country is that if you have a baby, best case scenario, it's going to run you $10,000. And that's like a cheap baby. Like, and that's not to raise the baby either. That's to physically extract it from yourself or your partner who may be having said baby. And I don't think that's fair, America. Like, having kids is bad enough. Why do we have to saddle new parents with debt? I found this particularly fascinating because I'm a twin and I was born 2 months premature, and we spent like forever in the hospital. In fact, I just got out last week. And when I was little, my parents, because they are sociopaths apparently, used to tell me that if we were American, your birth would have bankrupted us and we'd be homeless. I heard that quite a bit as a child, and so one day I asked my mom, what do parents of twins do in the U.S.? Like, what do they do? And she looked at me deadpanned and said, they stay in the hospital forever if their parents can't pay the bill. So till I was about 11, I thought like all American hospitals were just like the scene from The Shining, but with children, like glassy-eyed children just walking around because they couldn't pay the bill. And it actually wasn't till I was 11 and I went to a wheelchair basketball tournament in Whitewater, Wisconsin. I forgot to say off the top, I can't walk. I think most of you know that, but if you didn't, surprise! And I actually met other disabled children who also happened to be twins that I kind of realized my mom is full of shit. The other ending to that joke that I haven't decided on is I used to watch the Montel Williams show. Remember him, the bald talk show host? And he used to always talk about how overcrowded the American foster system was. And I used to be like, yes, that's because you steal the poor's babies. Thanks, that's my time.
Give it up for Desiree, everybody! Woo, 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 woo. All right. And remove spotlight, gallery view. One day I'll just be confident enough to do the tech stuff without saying what I'm doing as I do it. But yeah. I liked this one. I thought it was like an interesting way and a logical way, I think, to set it up. This is like your 5 minutes on like Canadian versus American culture for the most part. Even though you get into like some family stuff at the end. But even that was still like comparing the hospitals. It was fun. I liked it. You know that I like it. The start with Snacks and International. So you started to do a cool thing, and I wonder if like it's either a chance to like make these two phrases like mirror each other exactly or to contrast each other. And the moment I'm talking about is Baconator will take care of you. Little Debbie's gonna get you. Like I wonder if we can either like word those so that they're almost exactly the same, or just like completely flip it. Just to kind of I think there's an opportunity to get some laughs there. An example of that being, so that I don't sound like a crazy person, would be like, Baconators will take care of you. Little Debbie, like, I'm gonna fucking clog your arteries and fucking kill you, blah, 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 or something. I don't know. Maybe there's nothing there, but might be worth just experimenting with. I also think the province is Canadian for state. Kind of opens itself. I know this is a tag you could use, but like, also by the way, I'm like writing my own American Canadian thesaurus or something like that.
It'll be out in June.
It'll be out in June, just in the day after the pandemic ends, because it's all going to happen at once. So run to your bookstores and libraries. Oh yeah. Also, I thought it was interesting. I don't know why I didn't like notice that this was weird before, but like talking about how weird your family is. So if you can breathe and talk, you don't need an ambulance.
You don't. That was the rule.
Yeah, that's the rule. For some reason, I guess because it was like the Canadian versus American set, I was like, is your dad American? Because that's a very like capitalist mindset. Like you're going to work.
No, and that's like the funny thing is my parents act as though we don't have universal health care.
Yes,
you have to be dying before they would let you go to the hospital.
Yeah. So even saying like what you said just now, the first chunk, like living like we don't have universal health care, I think is funny on itself. Yeah. So even that could be the tag. I also loved your cheap babies. The whole baby set was strong, honestly. Blah blah blah. The funny part of the joke, and then you said you heard that quite a bit as a child. I thought was funny in itself, and then that's an opportunity where if you wanted to like, you know, do it hyperbolically and be like, yeah, that was like our bedtime story was we leave babies in the hospital or something like that. And then newest version of the introduction of your disability to date was I can't walk, surprise. I thought that was fun, and that is also like a little bit what I'm talking about with the whole like creating like a huge contrast in the phrasing to kind of create humor. The other thing we talk about in like a wider sense on this show is like the idea of like having consistent pacing throughout, and then that's a moment where really you could say almost anything, and then just because of how you're saying it and kind of the juxtaposition kind of creates some humor. The end.
The end.
The end. Take it away, Lisa.
Hey, Desiree, so good to see you. I like the new background. I have to say this was the first that I think maybe the first set without the Encrustable stuff that I've seen, which I enjoyed it. Like I love that you still do all the snack food stuff. I love that. But like I love that I'm getting to see like there's so much to your sets that and something that maybe you were kind of getting known for, like that was your thing, that you can let that go and such solid, like it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like it's part of your material, but it doesn't define. I loved that like I loved to say, I was like, no Uncrustables this time, but it didn't, it's not like I missed it. Does that make sense? If it's like a compliment, it's saying like, because I know there was a point where you were like, it's like, how do I let go of this baby? Like, is it grown up? Do I throw it out now? I don't know. So like, you have the ability to bring it in and out, whatever it suits you. You know what I mean? I love that that this whole set was I've heard most of the material before, but I loved how you put it together this time. I thought it was really tight. I really enjoyed how you tightened the universal healthcare, just the snack stuff. I loved your virtual background. I love that I could see your whole face the whole time. I loved it because beautiful, and I love seeing your face and funny. So in that I loved what was saying virtual background. There were a lot of little new things that I always love. I love that you have the ability for spontaneity. Like, oh wait, the surprise, can't walk, like it works right, and you pick right back up. Like it's fantastic. You have this really great way of being spontaneous and staying on your set and incorporating that and going right back into it. It's awesome. And I loved this part. This is something I hadn't heard before when you're talking about the ambulance run. The funeral sticker, don't ask how I got it. So I don't know what a funeral sticker is. I assume it's like I'm in a funeral party. Like I don't know. Do we have something like a funeral sticker in America? I understood
Funeral
what
An
bumper
American
sticker.
comic gave me the tag, so I assume you do.
Yeah, no, I think it's like when it's when all your headlights are on, you're in a funeral procession.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I assumed that that's what it was. It was sort of like saying, I'm in a funeral procession, don't cut me off. Like I have right of way no matter what. I just love how he said, don't ask me how I got it. So I really enjoyed that. The cheap baby, and as someone who has had a baby physically extracted from them, I appreciate that very much. I loved how you described it because you made it very, because you're talking about like the price of babies, and so you're taking it from a very like technical point of view, and I liked that the terminology you stayed on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It goes along with the line of the joke. I think that shows how well constructed it is. So the physical extraction from you or your partner, and having babies is bad enough. You've said that before, but I always will chuckle at that because yes. And but I loved then that was when the surprise I can't walk thing came in. So I love how you have a way of delivering the information and spontaneously, and yet it's seamless. So and I would say at the end with the two endings of the joke at the end, I like the Montel one better, but that's just me.
Okay.
That's my vote. I also remember Montel Williams. He went on to sell that copper.
Yeah.
The infomercial, like
the bracelet that's supposed to cure
like
complex neurological conditions.
Like and then they put it in like clothing that you wear.
Yeah.
It's like grown up Spanx that's supposed to cure stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
Like, not just cellulite, your other problems.
that's
but
my main problem.
But I like that. I mean, I remember that image. But and I'm gonna full circle right back to the top before I forgot. Like what Tom was talking about with the Baconator, we'll take care of you. The way I hear it, and I like how you say, is that it's sort of like the commercial of it. Is that it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's like have another Baconator. We'll take care of you. And you could also do like Little Debbie and then change it like Little Debbie, so sweet, and then being like the punchline of we'll kill you. Like things like that's a way to play with that juxtaposition also. That always hit me. But I always am like, oh yeah, that's like the commercial. Like if we had universal healthcare and these great snacks. But I think you did a really tight set, and like I liked how you seen the material put together and constructed it to this way. So thank you.
Whoa. Awesome. And then Lisa inspired this, so right before we move on, I also want to throw out the idea, maybe because you're talking about like the baby stuff in such a technical way, and I know that you work at a bank, if there's any like bank specific vocabulary that you can use to describe the babies and their worth, maybe that would be an opportunity to whip it out.
I will think.
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Give it up one more time for Desiree Walsh, everybody. Woo! Awesome, awesome. Blossoms, blossoms. Okay, next up on our list, it's his wow. My brain stopped for a second. That's weird. But anyway, it's his third time on this mic and his first time doing a set for Lisa. So give it up for Sean Powers. Woo, 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 woo.
Desiree, you are right about one thing. That's that the healthcare in the United States sucks. I'm self-employed, which means maybe this is because of my age, but I opted for the cheapest version of healthcare. But it's not really because of my age; it's because I'm poor. Like per month, my healthcare costs like 14 Canadian ambulances. If I tried to do that in the States, I would end up with like Skylar's college debt. So I don't envy either of you. But like I said, I am I envy Desiree. That's the goal. I envy that part. Like I said, I'm self-employed. I formed my own learning pod, and a learning pod is a collection of kids, but since I'm their teacher, and it's a collection of I'm not just collecting kids. That is not the 5 minutes. That's not how I wanted to start my so, I'm a teacher, and a learning pod is like a collection of kids, but because it's a gathering, we have to do it in secret. So it's like a cross between Little House on the Prairie and Fight Club. Like, come on, kids. The first rule of learning pod is don't talk about learning pod. But since it's public school, they don't get like a Brad Pitt. They get me, like a shitty Matt Damon. But like Fight Club, you know, most days I'll end up alone in a parking lot, just like punching myself in the face. Wondering, why am I doing this? But it is kind of like one of those old pioneer schools because it's like a mixed variety of kids. I've got 4 first graders, 2 third graders, and a 4th grader. And I'm a trained high school teacher. So what I didn't know about elementary school is that it's really emasculating. And at least in my learning pod, it's the pioneer dress that really just takes it too far. But the part I don't mind is the churning of the butter, because it's great on my triceps. Like Michelle Obama arms, here I come. But the kids are still in online school, and I feel like less of a teacher and more like an office manager. Like half of my day, I'm just like making copies, spelling words for kids, organizing their snack. But the kids will sometimes yell at me like the same way I yell at Siri. Like, Mr. Powers, what's 6 times 7? Powers, play I Like It by Cardi B. Mr. Powers, why won't my dad hug me? Did you say, why won't my dad hug me? Oh, Mr. Powers, you're starting to bug me. Today, kids, we're going to be learning about Freudian slips. But my role as an elementary school teacher gets kind of blurred because most of the time I'm the teacher, but sometimes I have to be the principal, and other times I have to be the janitor. Like, teachers have to put up with a lot of shit, but I didn't know how much shit first grade teachers have to put up with. And I think one of the worst feelings is when one of the kids like clogs the toilet. Like growing up, you never wanted to be at somebody's friend's house, try to flush the toilet, and then you see the water just rising up and up. And then you have to go approach your friend's dad who you barely know and you're kind of intimidated by, and you're like, something happened in the bathroom. I had to do that as an adult this week. On top of that, for my whole life, I've had this like horrible gagging problem. But teaching is a lot like throwing up. It can be terrible when you're doing it, but when it's done, you usually feel a lot better about yourself. Sometimes you want to cry, but like teaching, when you force it on people, they tend to get kind of pissed off. Yeah, I fucked that one up. All right. Moving on. Growing up, it was really hard to have a puking problem because I was a nervous kid. Like, I didn't have a first day of school ever because from like kindergarten to 10th grade, I went home the first day of school because I got sick. And I don't know about you, but try making friends after you've puked on them. It's not really easy. Like on the first day of school, most kids are like on cloud 9. They've got their lockers, their schedule, and I'm like 8 Mile. I'm like, vomit on my sweater already? But again, I'm still working on transitions, but 9/11 was a really confusing time, especially for a third grader. Like I was in third grade and 9/11 was hard to explain to a group of kids. And the best my teacher did was, while crying, just say, there's something disturbing on TV. But I didn't know what that meant, other than from an episode of SpongeBob where Patrick turns his back into a face and he goes, that's not disturbing. This is disturbing. And I got hot, I got overwhelmed, and I threw up all over the ground. And, you know, all the other kids in my Catholic school, they had to go to church for the rest of the day. But my mom got to pick me up, and we went to Burger King. And I will say, for a third grader, 9/11 was a pretty good day.
I will just say give it up for Sean Powers and not for 9/11.
Oh, God.
So give it up for Sean Powers, everybody. Woo, 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 woo. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing some of the changes that you've been making. Again, and we've talked about this before, and it's probably because you're a teacher that you're so good at listening to the notes and then always remembering to implement them. But the riffing at the top was especially good for the sake of mentioning stuff from the most recent set, a la Desiree, and from the first set of the night, a la Skylar's debt. It's like, that's not even something we have to question nowadays. It's like, if you're in college, you're in debt. There's no scholarships now that can afford a full tuition. But yeah, so I liked, again, the collection of kids in pods. I thought that you built on it a lot in ways that were strong, especially the whole comparison with the feeling that you just done something bad where like you were kind of put in the kids' shoes again. That was great. I liked, I also liked, I don't remember if this was in the set before, but like the punching yourself also being like a way it was like, okay, because I really liked that. And I just wrote self-hating Fight Club. It's also just like for really sad, insecure people who have self-loathing. Self-hating Fight Club. And then like the whole pioneer bit I thought was still strong. I think you added the bit with the triceps, and I like it. And if I can offer you a niche reference that most people probably won't get, if you want to say trying to get those Jillian Michaels triceps, I really admire her muscles. You had a fun roll of threes that ended with the "Why won't my dad hug me?" And I thought that was really, really strong. And then the only difficult thing about the follow-up then was that the last one in the series of the Rule of Three was so good. It's just hard to make sure that the tags after that match it. Because it was like a slight dip before you brought it back up with all the good potty stuff. And oh yeah, I thought maybe something in like could you imagine like going into elementary school nowadays, like masking up versus vomiting on your peers, like I don't know, something there about also just invading space. And then actually my favorite part was the transition into the 9/11 stuff. I thought that was clever, very self-aware. And then yeah, I thought it was like a funny premise, like just yeah, we're gonna reward the kid so he doesn't cry so much. But Yeah, I think that's all I have, and then I'll think of something more while Lisa's going.
I'm hey, Shannon, so I didn't realize you'd been on 2 times prior, so this is cool that it's like sort of my first time hearing a lot of this stuff, so or all of it actually. Um, I really liked how you tied in. I always am for being in the moment because with Zoom, like we're not in front of the audience in the same room, so acknowledging like keeping us present and being like we're still connected. I loved that. I loved how you did that and the spontaneity of it and being clever and connecting to both Desiree and also Skylar's sets earlier. I love the learning pod stuff. It's funny because I wrote down I really like your so I call this like your little box, your little performance box that we have, and you have a very casual sort of feel like with your hat and your like stucco like background, like the lighting. It's sort of this. I don't know what this means, but I felt like I'm like, is he in a basement in Pittsburgh? That's what I thought. It's like it's very specific. Like I know so many people who live in Pittsburgh. I'm like that, like I know this. Yeah, but it was funny because and you're like talking about being a pod teacher, like a learning pod teacher. And I was like, that does not go with what exactly I thought about with but it works. Like there's something about your visual that was like very specific but yet general that I really enjoyed. I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. This is just general feedback from a random stranger. So, but I enjoyed that. For some reason, it's set up the scene. I was like, it made sense to me. So I like the choices you made with that. I love the learning pod ideas, like not collecting kids. Good reassurance. I had my child in a learning pod for a while, so she's back at school. But the Fight Club Little House of the Prairie was great. The references, it's very visual. We all know about Fight Club, even the young people, the young kids. Fight Club, we do not talk about Fight Club and the punching of the face and the Matt Damon reference I thought was really funny. Like I said, like the hat and I also enjoyed all your different types of references from churning the butter, triceps and doing the physicalization. I thought that was really fun. I really liked then you moved on with all the kids, the office manager idea. And you can, because now that I work in sort of more of an office type of setting, it's very specific, them being, you can even develop more of that, like them at their desks and demanding things, you're the office manager and managing their snacks. Like I loved all that. I thought that was really good imagery. But my favorite, I think, is yelling at Siri. How you did that, because you have this great way of like, you have a very natural pace and easygoing sort of delivery that when you change it into Siri and that like voice, because we all know we yell at Siri. I do. I love how you did it, but like as the children, that was awesome. And it really brought me to that moment and yelling, why won't my dad hug me? What gets me, because I know a kid probably who would yell that. So, but
I found this answer on the web.
yeah, but I wrote down a really good rule of 3 for comedy. So that was good. And then it did jump, but I liked it because it was like you had that height, and then you were like, "Oh no, why? What was it? Was it actually saying that? Oh, you're bugging me." You're like, "Oh, okay." Like there's something that's more about you than them what you heard, but then like, I don't know. There's something there to like, "Oh, that's what I heard." Okay, maybe. Saying the teaching stuff was really fun. Teaching's like throwing up. You said by the end, I know that you said that part of that joke didn't land right. I was writing down, so I didn't hear it as like much, but I would love to hear what that was intending to go to, because I think there was stuff there. The transition part with 9/11. Yeah, that was funny. And 9/11 is not something people can be funny about still. It's like too soon or like weird. Like that is we've had difficulty. Like we had someone do a set about suicide, and like that was much easier than hearing a 9/11 joke. Like it's bizarre, but true. So I love that transition because you sort of just like sideswiped us with it. And working on transitions, 9/11, like you're like, oh my God, out of nowhere. But I like that you also tied it to you being a kid in 9/11, because it goes back to that whole segment of you being with a learning pod and the kids. So it's sort of keeping it in that same realm. And pretty good day for a third grader, because I've been there, sick one, and talking about like I like how your material is really connected, but like pretty good dude for a third grader. Did you get a Whopper? Because I always feel like getting a Whopper from Burger because it's
Oh
Burger.
no, I was a very picky eater. It was like chicken fries and Sprite. That's
Okay, well,
I would throw up. Sprite
about
was
being
like,
like, I got a Whopper that day or something. You know, like, oh, the Whopper. Like, there's something that kid, you got that. And it's like, I love that you said Burger King because I know I'd preferred Burger King over McDonald's myself when I was older. Like, as a kid, you're like, oh, yeah, we had to drive farther because there's less Burger Kings. Like, so, get into Burger King. But I really enjoyed that. I think you have a great way of telling the jokes in different paces. I would say keep having fun with that. And I think that you're in your wheelhouse when you're talking about the kids and the teaching. So it's great. Just keep doing the Fight Club Learning Pod and you have all the material you need for the rest of your life.
thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
Woo, 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 woo. I don't really have anything to add to that. I thought that was great. Other than extra points for using Siri in the material instead of Alexa, because that'll fuck up people's actual Alexas if you do anything with it. But yeah, no, 9/11 stuff. I feel like it's because like there was a period in time where like I think it was like on South Park they acknowledged it as like being a thing that you can't joke about, and then people just like dug their heels deeper into the fact that it would never be funny. But proved them wrong anyway with those jokes. I thought it was great. Not 9/11, your jokes. Moving on. I'm really. What's that?
Kept John up so late. He's the last one, right?
I'm really excited for John this week and next week because I learned that apparently he'll be getting to go to bed an hour earlier because daylight savings time is a fake thing that countries do, and we can't even get on the same page about what day to do it.
You heard it here first. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
I'm taking them all down, Tom.
God, I hope so. I was also like surprised, kind of in a good way, with how many countries have finally kicked it. But anyway, that wasn't his intro, but this is Give It Up for John O'Keefe. Woo, 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 woo.
My God, hello. How's everyone doing? Are you well?
Yeah.
So great to be here with you guys again in America, specifically a basement in Pittsburgh. We learned something. Sean, you got the joke of the night, you bastard. It was my birthday over the weekend. Yeah, I had some great laughs just eyeballing the walls all weekend going, they're still there. Beautiful stuff. My girlfriend was nice though. She brought me breakfast in bed, which don't get too excited. It was a fucking roll. It's true. And she forgot to butter it. So I said, she goes, would you like it buttered? And I said, please, baby. So she brought it back to me and she goes, there you go, princess. Would you like some makeup with that? I should explain. We're into some kinky stuff. I eat lipstick and she calls poison control. It's so hot. To each their own. Speaking of the bedroom, I just spent €50 on something a bit fun. I got myself a huge pillow. Oh my God, it's... Next, I'm going to get myself a new mattress, then maybe a new girlfriend. No, I'm kidding. I couldn't do that to my mattress. We've been through a lot. I'm awkward, obviously. I try, but I fail. It's part of my charm, I suppose. I try to be cool, right? Especially with my girlfriend's like incredibly liberal family, because she's a Berliner. What you've heard is true. I was in Berlin over the summer, and everyone's having like a casual meal outside, including... I can hear someone's background there, guys. Sorry.
Is that the noisy door?
Let's go back. I was in Berlin over the summer. Woo! And we were all having... I was having a meal with my girlfriend's family. And we're all having a meal outdoors, including her newborn nephew who was feeding on his mother's breast. And like, I want to be supportive. I'm a farmer's son. Produce matters. So I'm conflicted. And his mother, okay, this is the part where it gets awkward. His mother is like fucking stunning. Like she's like a German model. So it not looking goes against my nature so much. And I'm doing so well. I'm fucking locked in. I'm staring ahead at me at this Frankfurter like it has the secrets of afterlife. And I know everything about this sausage. And my girlfriend goes, baby, look. And I'm like, what? And she goes, look. And she's pointing at the baby and the tit. Like, and I'm like, I'm not looking over there. And she's like, baby, look. And I'm like, well, obviously it's not breastfeeding now. So I look up, of course, and there's a tit in the wild and a baby attached to it, of course. And now it's impolite if I don't stare. So she's like, oh, baby, isn't it beautiful? I'm like, it's a stunning baby. The stunning baby. And then she said, I swear to her, that she goes, oh, look, he fell asleep. He fell asleep sucking on her titty. And I'm like, she actually said her titty. I'm like, are you trying to make it more pornographic? You're looking at my browsing history. I wanted to stand up like, I'm not like you people. I grew up in rural Ireland. I'm out of my comfort zone. Like, we get freaked out by eye contact, let alone conversational breastfeeding. Like, here's my rule, okay? If I won't look you in the eyes, I don't want to look you in the tits. You know what I mean? It's not a hard rule. Not a hard rule. But look, my girlfriend gave me a present, which is great. It was a mug. And it said, world's best teacher. I'm really sorry, Sean. It said the world's best teacher. And I was like, why are you lying to me, lady? Like, if you're lying to me about this, who else are you lying to me about? Like, who's Dieter? I need to know. Like, who's the world's best teacher? I don't teach in Harvard. I'm not even a real teacher. I'm a TEFL teacher. You know TEFL, right? I'm not even a real TEFL teacher. I'm a substitute TEFL teacher. That means I cover for people who are too hungover to come in and be better than me. I cover for people who have gotten new careers and just forgot to tell their school, like, they'll figure it out. It's not fine. Stay in Cornell, Skylar. Please don't end up like me. Sometimes I walk into a cover job and they don't even have a teacher and they haven't for months. And they're always like, are you my new teacher? And I'm like, I feel like they're my children. I'm like, I'm not, but now I understand why your teacher left you. You drove him to it with all these questions. Jesus Christ. And they start crying and you have to start consoling them. It's not you. You're not to blame. He didn't have to walk out with you. And don't blame yourselves. And especially don't blame me. I'm just a subrat, okay? I don't care. I don't even really understand the grammar, okay? This TEFL cert took a month to get. I don't think it's legal. Everyone has stupid degrees. We've all copied each other. The only person who got the TEFL cert were people who could afford the TEFL cert. Every day I think, is it possible for me to get fired from a fake job? So far, so good. So the point is, I'm not the world's best teacher, but I like that my girlfriend believes in me. Anyway, guys, my name is John O'Keefe. I think that's my time. You've been wonderful as always.
Whoa. Give it up for John O'Keefe, everybody. All right. And now the timer is going to get kicked out of the room. Suck it, timer. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah. And also stop spotlighting. Go to gallery view. Cool. All right. So, really strong set. I feel like I always say that, but it's always true. You're very funny, John. Did the thing about like referencing Basement in Pittsburgh as far as joke of the night.
Got your back, Sean.
And then I actually, on the same note, even though it's like much further along in your set, and I liked it more because of it, was the stay in school Skylar. Like, I think it's even better if you can like do it in the middle of your set so spontaneously like that to reference the other sets. That was really bringing it all together and made it feel less like a pre-planned thing, which really it couldn't have been because their sets just happened. I thought, oh my god, there were so many layers to one of your opening bits about like the breakfast in bed and the makeup and then into kinky stuff.
Yeah,
like
I meant to say lipstick. I said makeup instead of lipstick, and then I was like, "Fuck, is that gonna wreck it?" But sure, look.
I mean, it worked anyway because you said lipstick later. She calls poison control real kinky. Yeah, and then I thought that you did a smart pairing choice by putting that so close to the misdirect joke with the mattress. I thought that was wise as well. The great premise with the really, really hot breastfeeder, and the one that stood out to me was just like really like studying everything about this sausage, and yeah, sucking on her titty, like all Good stuff. I'm glad to know that you are a TEFL substitute teacher. That's kind of the stuff that like I always encourage people to kind of write about because again, it's not just about being funny. Like you want to build a relationship with the audience. You are our friend for 5 minutes. So learning more about you is always a good thing. I think you have opportunity because not everybody is familiar with what TEFL stands for. If you wanted to do like a joke acronym, like I'm a
Yeah.
TEFL teacher, you know.
Yeah, I have one of those in a different bit. I just didn't put it in. But yeah, I have. I usually do one, but I just forgot to do it tonight.
Sweet, awesome. That means that's such good advice that I'm giving that you've already done it.
Exactly. You were way ahead of me there,
Is
Tom.
the time traveling comedian. But yeah. And I also want to say that like I thought how you handled the noise was fine. But that being said, just because, you know, it's a feedback mic and every opportunity is a learning opportunity, it might be good when stuff like that comes up. And I might even, like, get a track to start playing during people's sets. I probably won't do that. That's a lot of work and it would be way too hard. But, like, an opportunity for, like, how you're going to handle it either at live mics when, like, people are talking at the bar or in other Zoom rooms when, I feel like I know people like shit on hosts a lot, but it really is hard sometimes to like see where the noise is coming from.
That's the teacher in me. The second I hear noise, I'm like, what is that? What's happening? Cut
Quiet
that out
coyote.
immediately, young man.
Oh yeah, and like even having something prepared, ready to go, like that even is like a great way to handle it. And then
that's
that was also some credit I wanted to give to the stay in school Skylar because since he was the troublemaker, it was honestly fine. Like the fact that then he got to be like the gift in your set of the spontaneous callback. That's a way where if you're ever this is a general rule, it's not true all the time, but like if there's someone in the audience that you feel like you're having a hard time winning over, if you want to try and incorporate them, sometimes that can get them on your side. Other times they'll just be like, no, fuck you, I hate you. But I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So that's all from me. Take it away, Lisa Quiza.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Sorry. I loved your hello. I loved how you brought in how you doing. Like you're just because that's also something that was that happens in like when you're in an actual mic, you know, stand with that. Hey, and that's not something that we've all. I think Zoom has sort of taken that away. There's these different manners or ideas. So I enjoyed that. It sort of brought us back to you know, like that open mic feel too of that and how you just saying hi and being there. I really loved this set. I seen that they thought you did. Talked a lot about like how you hold the mic and your energy. You had really fast, intense energy, but it was very specific and it worked. I never lost your joke or your pace. And even when you got the other noise happened, you took a second. You're like, oh wait, but then you got right back into it. So like you had high energy and a lot to say in a short amount of time, but it was communicated well. There's nothing lost. It was very intentional, and I saw that because I've seen you on prior sets, and this is like it really felt like bam, bam, bam. You were on it tonight. I hope you felt that way. You just had me in stitches. Yeah, the makeup lipstick thing worked fine because I know that lipstick is makeup, so it made sense. I mean, yeah. So like it didn't throw it off. It wasn't the wording wasn't odd. It didn't make the joke not work. So it was good. I love your segues. I think you're really good at it. Even when you change subjects, you sort of acknowledge it and just zoom right in. I think it's great. The Berliners, the Frankfurter having the secrets of the afterlife, I think might have been my favorite part. Like that was awesome. And I loved because even with you're holding the mic, but you're using your hand and like, I can imagine like, there's the titty there, the beautiful titty with baby. And I'm like, no, I'm going to look at this thing. I'm not going to, then I love that your girlfriend's like, no, look. And you're like, oh my, it was great. Cause you saw the conflict, you're telling the joke in the present, but I can feel your physicalization was really great with it. And yet you never lost pace or anything like that. So that was wonderful. Her titty. So I love that because she said it because I, as a female, when we know when we're saying that shit to our boyfriends too, like, we know what we're doing. So I think there's something there, but like it was funny. And I love the Irish. If I don't look in the eyes, I don't look in the titties. So the Irish, I loved all of that. So I thought that was really funny. I didn't know what is it called a tuffle?
TEFL, yeah. I should
TEFL. I think it's like teaching English as a foreign language.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I should have
don't know the
taken
term.
yeah.
No, you know what? You explained it fine because I was like, oh, what is that? What is that? And then your explanation of it's when people are too hungover to like do their actual job and get it. Like I was like, oh yeah, like that. I honestly think that worked. Like I didn't have to know. It's like what? Then when you added that in, I was like, oh, now I get it. Yes, I've been taught by you people. Like at some point, like, oh yes, that sub. And I enjoyed how you do that, wondering if it's legal. And it made me think of like you're getting your certifications, like how everyone is certified now to marry people online. Like,
yeah, that's
is
a
that
good
legal?
comparison.
I can just click yes, like it's an app, like I can now marry things. Like I don't know.
That could be an opportunity there for another comparison with something else, kind of like what you said there, maybe, or something like that, where everyone seems to be qualified in it.
Qualified, yeah, like because you're talking about the qualifications. It's sort of like that. Another way to explain it too.
That's a good.
That just popped into my head about that because it's it's like everyone can just marry something. We can just marry things now, because I hit the right box on that app. So, but I really have that much to like. I feel like there was just a lot of positive stuff that you really have taken the notes and worked for. Pretty much, you've been here since the beginning, like almost or 9 weeks out of the 10.
Yeah, I think I missed the first one or two.
Yeah,
I missed the one in the middle because I was unwell. But other than that,
we can always go back and check the footage, document.
But I feel like you've really, like, this was really, I think, really strong set for you, and you took all notes, and I feel like it just really worked for you, and like you said, you've grounded yourself, your energy is really focused, and you really carved a really tight set that segued really, really nicely together. So good job. Thank you.
Thanks for the feedback, guys. I really appreciate it.
Woo! Give it up one more time for John O'Keefe, everybody. Woo!
And what time is it there now, John?
Sorry, it's almost 2 a.m.
Okay.
Almost.
All right.
But if it were a normal week, it'd be almost 3 a.m. So
exactly.
Someone's gonna be sleeping.
My girlfriend is a fucking saint. I swear to God, she's an angel. Like she's so understanding. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I will keep that in mind. Not that specifically, but the time difference in mind again for next week, and actually let you enjoy the hour difference this time. I just put you at the end of the set, so it would balance out. You'd still be tired.
I'm happy wherever, really.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. So, that being said, I'm going to spotlight myself and take us out. Woo. Okay. So big thank you to my returning co-host, Lisa, to the comedians for being so open to feedback, and of course to you guys, our awesome audience. I forgot to bring up the chat, but I'm assuming you're there. If not now, sometime in the future, during a normal hour when it's not a work night and you can watch this. But again, if you want to support the stream, you can do so at district-comedy.live or hit that share, like, or subscribe button. And if you want to be on the show or any of the shows, we got a sign-up link in the episode description. And I'll plug them again, but this Friday is going to be our charity show, Stand Up for a Cause for AIDS Committee of Toronto. That's at 8 o'clock. Tune in. It's going to be fun. We'll go raise money for a great cause. And then also, if you want to be my friend, please, jacking off with friends this Sunday at 8. So, let's do it. It's a fun time. And Brooks will immediately say something to get himself canceled. I don't know. That might not be true. But yeah, otherwise, that's it. Thanks again for tuning in. Goodbye. Woo woo.